feeding our air in from the Atlantic, so a bit of a cooler west to south-westerly wind becoming established, and that west to south-westerly, so will feed some rain in at times over the next few days. That's certainly the case as we head into the overnight period. Outbreaks of rain moving in across many western and northwestern spots, turning quite heavy by the morning, certainly across the parts of Northern Ireland, West Wales and across westernmost parts of England. Towards the south and east, it becomes mostly fine once the early evening showers die away. We'll see some clear spells, and wherever you are, a pretty mild night to come, certainly frost-free with temperatures mostly in double figures. As we head into Monday then, we get off to a pretty wet start across the mainland of Scotland, quite heavy bursts of rain in places, particularly towards the south and the southwest of the country. Towards the Northern Isles, at this stage brighter with a few showers. Across Northern Ireland, some heavy bursts of rain developing at times, and particularly heavy bursts of rain across western parts of England and Wales. Here we could see one or two issues with flooding, I think, as we go through the day on Monday. Towards the southeast at this stage, it's still brighter, and I think it's the southeast that should stay mostly fine as we go through the day. Sunshine gradually turning more hazy from the west. Elsewhere, though, a pretty unsettled day unfolding. Some outbreaks of quite heavy rain at times moving in from the south and west. Again, at their heaviest across these western areas, and later in the day starting to turn brighter and more showery across the west of Scotland and across Northern Ireland too. Temperatures still peaking at 23 Celsius towards the southeast. That's a fairly warm 73 in Fahrenheit, cooler towards the northwest with a cloud and rain around. The rain on Tuesday gradually moves its way away to the east of the UK, giving way to a mixture of sunshine and showers across all parts, although the heaviest of those showers are likely across the south, and here we could see one or two thundery showers as we go into the afternoon. So the showers on Tuesday are pretty widespread, giving way to more persistent rain on Wednesday, and back to sunshine and showers once again as we go into Thursday.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
We're counting down to a spectacular summer. It's your chance to win £76,543 and 21 pence in totally tax-free cash. A lump sum that you could have in time to splash out with this summer. And because it's tax-free, you get to keep every single penny. For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The GB News audience is different, it's unique, because they see through the nonsense.
We want to debate with each other, we want to listen and maybe learn.
We have a chat. That's what we do. We try and have a chat.
They'll watch my programme while they're eating their tea, they'll watch breakfast while they're busy getting their kids ready for school.
We want to hear what matters to you, what is news for you.
And what's brought you out here today?
What are the biggest issues affecting this particular area?
The audience are the best thing about GB News.
Their friends, their family.
They're people who need to have their voices heard.
They're passionate about the channel, they're passionate about what they believe in.
The one thing about GB News is you get a chance to speak.
Talk to me about why so many people have gathered here today.
Do you want to say something back in return? The GB News audience is what makes GB News special.
It's incredible to see.
They shape our programmes, they shape our output, and they shape our channel.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain.
Good evening, it's 9 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight. Paris burns as vandals burn cars, destroy restaurants and trash the city in what should have been a night of jubilation. Well, it turned into a cataclysm for Paris, didn't it? And Pride Month starts tomorrow. Yes, I know, like it feels like it never ended. And of course, the media are already putting out their Pride list for this year. Well, as you can see on your screen, I've got a sanity list, an alternative list of awards for the bravest Brits who've spoken out against toxic LGBTQIA alphabet ideology. Any guesses who might have made the cut? Also, a theatre school in South Yorkshire has had its rights to stage the smash hit musical Dreamgirls revoked. That's after the show's owners allegedly complained about its cast being too white. And, talking things going woke, the Ministry of Defence has gone full-on woke as it demands new defence contracts have to tackle eco-inequality. What do you think of that? And
New Yorker. I'm a Jewish New Yorker.
I'm a Jewish New Yorker.
And I'm rankings are on #1.
That's right. Ben Leo, host of The Late Show Live over in America, he's going to be joining us from New York as their new far-left mayor, Zoran Mamdani, has boycotted their annual Israel Day event, the first mayor ever to do so. And finally,
we must restore fairness to our migration system.
Well, talking of fairness, a Gambian woman has won the right to move to Britain with her German husband. This is unbelievable. Despite judges admitting neither she nor her husband attended their own wedding. Anyway, on that note, on my panel this evening, former Met Police detective Peter Bexley, former Conservative MP Anna Firth, and academic and author Dr. Lisa McKenzie. And what do you think's going on here, then?
You are not a smart person.
It's so much worse than that. We will play the full clip at some point. Look, we've got a huge 2 hours coming up first, but we're going to get your news with Bethany Elsey first.
Alex, thank you. Good evening. Your top stories from the GB newsroom at 9:02. North London was painted red this afternoon as Arsenal fans lined the streets to celebrate their club's first Premier League win in 22 years. As many as 1 million people came out to see the trophy parade in Islington. Our national reporter Jack Carson was there for us.
People were up at 6, 7 o'clock this morning to get a spot here to capture a glimpse of that bus with the Arsenal players aboard, the champions on that bus. I mean, Mikel Arteta has had to work, that team has had to work for their Premier League title this season, but the sense of jubilation, I mean, if we just look around here, you know, people in their thousands still celebrating, the red flares going off absolutely everywhere, and it wasn't to be for them in the Champions League final last night, but for so many people here, it's in the complete back of their minds. They don't care, they're Premier League champions.
Meanwhile, overnight unrest and rioting spread across France after PSG's Champions League win over Arsenal. More than 700 people have been arrested, including nearly 500 in Paris alone. Around 57 police officers were injured in the clashes. Nicola Sturgeon says she's serving a sentence for a crime she didn't commit after her estranged husband admitted embezzling £400,000 from the Scottish National Party. In an interview with the BBC, the former SNP leader refused to apologise for the scandal and appeared emotional, describing gifts from Peter Murrell that turned out to have been purchased with stolen money. Murrell, the SNP's former chief executive, used party funds to buy items including jewellery, cosmetics, 2 cars and a motorhome. Sturgeon has consistently denied any knowledge of Murrell's crimes that were committed between 2010 and 2022. The search is ongoing for an 11-year-old boy who went missing after being seen entering a river in South Yorkshire yesterday evening. Police were called to the River Don in Mexborough at around 8 p.m. The National Police Air Service, Yorkshire Ambulance Service and South Yorkshire Fire and Rescue also attended. At least 14 young people have died after getting into difficulty in open water during the recent heatwave. And authorities in Brazil say they're investigating a second suspected case of Ebola. Yesterday, they say they saw the first suspected case of the infection outside Africa. The latest case involves a Belgian man who recently arrived from Uganda. 263 cases have been reported in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda, with 43 deaths. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization chief is visiting the DRC and is warning the virus is spreading faster than the response. Those are your latest headlines. I'll have more for you at 10 o'clock.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Pride Month kicks off tomorrow. I know, it seems like it never ends. But of course, the usual media celebration of the LGBTQ plus ideology alphabet has begun. Well, this year, though, I'm publishing my own alternative list of people. British people with the courage and bravery to push back against the toxic ideology that's eroding gay acceptance, women's rights and basic biological reality. Shall I tell you who my top 9 people are? Let's start with a familiar face, shall we? Darren Grimes. Yes, you might remember Darren from the Saturday 5. Recently elected Deputy Council Leader for Durham. And I know he won't mind me saying this. He's an outspoken, openly gay man who's called out Pride as divisive. And as a newly elected Reform councillor, he ordered Pride flags to be taken down from Durham Council. Bravo, Darren. Number 8. Kate Barker. She's the CEO of the LGB Alliance, a breakaway group which argues that the T in LGBT has harmed gay, lesbian and bisexual rights. Well, she's not wrong, because recent British social attitudes data shows acceptance of same-sex relationships has dropped for the first time since 1987. I wonder why. Number 7, Maya Forstater, of course, a GB News favourite. She comes on here all the time. She won a landmark tribunal ruling that gender-critical beliefs are protected under the Equality Act of 2010. That was after losing her job after her own colleagues complained about her expressing her views online. How dare she? Number 6, Toby Young and the Free Speech Union. They have funded numerous legal battles for women, counselled for gender-critical views, included suspended university students like GB News' regular Connie Shaw and countless others, all because they stood up against trans ideology. Number 5, Rosie Duffield MP, a popular Labour MP, or ex-Labour MP, should I say. She repeatedly has stated that sex is binary. Can you believe it? She was hounded out of the Labour Party for it, including for liking a tweet saying only women have a cervix. Of course, she quit Labour in 2024. Number 4, Douglas Murray, the stalwart British commentator, an openly gay man who supports gay equality, but criticises modern Pride as tasteless, overly sexualised and focused on division rather than integration. Famously, of course, he mocked gays for Gaza and dubbed them chickens for KFC. Spot on there, Douglas, weren't you? Number 3, an honourable mention here, the UK Supreme Court. Well, of course, in April 2025, the Supreme Court ruled unanimously in favour for Women for Scotland Limited against the Scottish Government that, under equality law, a trans woman is not indeed a woman. That's right, there's a biological male. And for once, yes, I am praising the justice system. And number 2, Sharon Davies, MBE, the Olympic swimmer and co-founder of Women's Sports Union. In April, her organisation issued legal warnings for 10 sporting bodies for allowing biological males in female categories, saying it breaches the Equality Act. She's continuing the fight for women's equality today. And number 1, I think this is the best of the bunch. J.K. Rowling, the most high-profile and fearless voice defending women's rights and biological reality. I'd argue she's the most famous person doing this in the world. Rowling consistently stands her ground with clarity and wit on social media, despite relentless attacks from the trans lobby. Her put-downs, if you've seen them, are nothing short of iconic. And yes, she's still winning with book sales, game sales and movie sales, making her a billionaire. So, while Pride Month, which I think is a joke that it gets a whole month when our veterans barely get a day, while this month it rolls on, all I'll say is this: nobody cares about your sexuality. Nobody wants to see your fetishes on display at Pride events. Many millions of gay people just want to integrate into society, not be brutally divided by a loud minority of individual radicals. Should we get the thoughts of my panel and who they might put on the list here? Former Met Police Detective Peter Bleksley, former Conservative MP Anna Firth, and author, of course, Lisa Mackenzie. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Anna, I'll start with you, because you've got many colleagues in Parliament who, of course, have been fighting this battle. Who would you pick as your honorary person to go on my sanity list of 2026?
Do you know there are lots of people that I would add to your list? There's Kemi Badenoch. There's Miriam Cates, there's Joanna Cherry, there's Sandy Peggy, of course. But I would pick out Kemi Badenoch on this one, because I was in Parliament when she was Minister for Equalities and Women, and she was absolutely consistent in arguing that the Equalities Act, sex meant biological sex. Secondly, she argued strongly within government to resist the Scottish Gender Recognition Reform Act and make sure that we as a country blocked that act, which was extremely important. And thirdly, she backed Hilary Cass, who incidentally must be on that list.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't get that many people on there. So, yes, but you're right. There's so many people. That's the reality, isn't it? And it's so good. We need to celebrate more of them. The Independent, hopefully we can get this front page for you at some point. The Independent put out a list today of their top LGBTQIA people.
But we might not have got as far as we got without Hilary Cass's
absolutely
review.
Right. Absolutely right.
And then, of course, Dr. David Bell, who was the whistleblower.
He was originally on my
Tavistock
list, actually.
Right.
He was originally on my list, yes.
There you go.
But I wanted a mixture of people who were punchy commentators and, of course, people who are fighting the human rights campaign. Of course, not just on the trans issues, but on gay rights and that sort of stuff as well in Britain, because that is being eroded by the trans lobby.
I know I've probably had more than my time already, but at the end of next month, we have 1 week for armed forces.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm doing the sleep out at St Paul's, for the veterans. 1 week, why does Pride have a whole month?
It's totally ridiculous. Here's what The Independent put out. This inspired me putting out the sanity list tonight. You can see the similarities between the two of them. On there, Zach Polanski. You can see he's made the top tier of their list. Can you believe it? A man who's been in politics for all of 2 minutes. I don't know what he's done for the gay rights movement other than move it backwards, in my opinion, but I'm sure he'd disagree. Peter, who's on your sanity list?
Well, this is such a tired, worn-out subject now, to be perfectly frank with you.
Yeah.
People of my generation accepted years ago people's sexuality. There's very little discrimination now, as I see it. And as far as I'm concerned, if two people are in love, that is a joyous thing, no matter who they are.
Absolutely.
Always to be celebrated and enjoyed. And of course, as you point out with your number 3, the Supreme Court has ruled. And that's the end of the argument, as far as I'm concerned. But I was asked to contribute to this list, but I'm so worn out with this story, I thought I'd just take the opportunity to mention two people who are heroic, and I'm afraid are not getting enough coverage at the moment. Dr. Sanjoy Kumar and Mrs. Emma Webber. Okay, Sanjoy, father of murdered daughter, of course, and Emma, mother of murdered son. Their coverage, their constant raising of awareness of the dreadful failings of so many of our public services through the Nottingham inquiry, which is carrying on, and if you want to tune in and watch it tomorrow, please feel free to do so. At the very least, follow Dr. Sanjoy and Mrs. Emma Webber on social media, repost what they do. They are showing so much of this nation up for the shameful, debacle, failing, nonsense organisations that they are.
Spot on, Peter. Absolutely. I mean, this is the great thing about doing a segment like this. We start talking about people who sometimes only are in the news because of a cycle, and that's why I love doing stuff like this, rather than the Independent putting up their Zach Polanskis and their celebrities. It's good to talk about real heroes in Britain. Lisa, who have you got?
Well, there's such a broad range of people, and I think this is a really important issue because particularly women have lost jobs. They've lost livelihoods just for saying something which is quite obvious, that men are men and women are women. And they have literally lost jobs, livelihoods, respect. They've lost everything, really. So, I was going to go for the Darlington nurses, but I've sort of plumbed for Baroness Claire Fox. And the reason I've gone for Claire is just because every year she puts on something called the Battle of Ideas. And what she does is she opens up a space for people to debate from all different types of backgrounds and views. And that is what's now missing, is everybody has decided this is who I am, my identity is connected to this, and therefore I can't change my mind. So, I think we need more spaces to debate.
And this is why this is so important, Anna, because we have got to a situation in Britain. I mean, I've been talking about the case of Henry Novak this week, but I've also been talking about the case. I don't want to get into it on this part of the show, but the point I'm trying to make is that I've received a backlash from talking about a banning of what I think is a weapon. I've been called a bigot, I've been called a racist, I've been called all these things under the sun, just for wanting to have a discussion about whether this is appropriate in Britain in 2026. And this goes to the wider issue, doesn't it? When we talk about these people who are being cancelled or tried to be cancelled for simply having an opinion.
So I totally agree with you. And in fact, I've been saying exactly the same thing, that on that particular issue, it's not a question of religion, it's a question of should you have a knife on the street? And the law of the land is that it should be that you should not. And in fact, of course, that is the law of the land, and I did an awful lot of that in Parliament. But on this other issue, the trouble is some of the debates in Parliament have been so toxic. And I'm going to praise Miriam Cates here, one of your presenters, because on this particular topic, she was speaking in a debate against making the Gender Recognition Reform Act, blocking it in the UK, and a Labour MP on the other side, Lloyd Moyle, that's right, and he pointed at her and he said, "You should be ashamed. You're transphobic," and then he moved from his position and came right round and sat right in front of her. And and Rosie Duffield actually called it out as well. Now, if you've got that level of abuse going on in the chamber, which is supposed to be the crucible of democracy and debate, then what's the example that's being set?
Yeah, that's the problem. That's a problem, is it? And that's why I've chosen Claire Fox for opening up a space for debate, because if we don't have debate, we can't change each other's minds, we can't know anything. Going back to Peter's point about the Nottingham inquiry, if those families had not forced that Nottingham inquiry to happen, we would have never known of any of this, because Valdo Calacane he never went into open court. Everything would have been closed down.
Yes, absolutely.
Anna,
right.
Should a Scotsman in his kilt with his sporran be allowed to have a ski and do in his sock?
You're going to have to help me there. I don't know what does that look like?
A ski and do, it's a knife.
Okay, how big is it? Is it sharp? Is it just a tiny little thing? Because the thing about this knife was it was 8 inches long, and the law is clear, as you will know as an ex-police officer, on the length of a weapon. That was clearly a weapon. Now, I don't know if that is if the thing you're talking about is dangerous or not, but if it is capable of inflicting injury, in my book, it's a knife and they shouldn't have it.
What do you think, Peter?
I look forward to going to Scotland in a couple of weeks' time, on tour, which I'm doing, right? I think a Scottish kilt and the full Scottish Highland regalia is a thing of absolute beauty. I had the honour of wearing it once at a wedding with a ski and do in the sock. I think that's a very interesting debate. I don't think we need to have sweeping comments about it. I think we need to have a reasoned debate and listen to all sides of the
Peter, that
argument.
wasn't on the street. I would say that's very different.
Well, look,
because
I want to have this debate because we did have this debate last night, so I don't want to rehash it all from last night because we've already had it. But it's interesting, isn't it, how we start talking about things, and again, thanks to these people who have pushed back. And the reason why I wanted to have this segment tonight, and I know many people watching will hopefully agree with me, is that there's so much value in the people that are demonised by the mainstream established media, by social media, by people on the left and the far left that say you shouldn't have a voice, that you're isms, you're racism, you're racist, you're transphobic, you're all these things under the sun to shut down reasonable discussions like we would have just had here about whether it's right for people to carry knives, whether there should be exclusions for certain groups. We will happily have that debate here on GB News, and it's the reason why they want to shut us down here at GB News as well, because we tackle the difficult issues that other channels and the establishment media do not want to have. They do not want you discussing this stuff with your friends and family, and that's why we do it here on this show and at GB News. On a high note, though, there is a chance to win a bit of money here. £76,543.21 in tax-free cash. And before you go, on your say, let me know who you'd put on your sanity list. Here's all the details for that giveaway.
We're counting down to a spectacular summer. It's your chance to win £76,543.21 in totally tax-free cash. A lump sum that you could have in time to splash out with this summer. Imagine all the things you could do with that cash. Give the garden a glow up, max out on a new motor, or just make sure the coming year is your year. And because it's tax-free, you get to keep every single penny for a chance to win £76,543.21 in tax-free cash. Text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck, everybody. Coming up, has the Ministry of Defence been captured by Whitehall wokery? Yes, next. A theatre school in South Yorkshire has had its rights to the stage hits musical Dreamgirls. It's had it revoked after the show's owners allegedly complained about its too white cast. We'll be debating that after the break. It's going to be a good one.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline.
Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Day in, day out. Forget stuffy late-night TV shows. We're giving you a front-row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here.
You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight, every night.
Only on GB News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the show. This is what we've got coming up. Right, that there was a clip of the smash hit Dreamgirls. But now, a theatre school in South Yorkshire has had the rights to the stage play, Dreamgirls, revoked. That's after the show's owners objected to the cast lacking diversity. The Gillian Banks Theatre School says it tried to recruit a broader range of performers, but in an area where there's overwhelming majority of residents are white British, it simply didn't receive enough black auditionees. Well, Concord Theatricals, which controls the rights to the musical, the hit, of course, says Dreamgirls tells an important story about black American music history and productions must be cast authentically. Well, the school insists there was nothing racist about its intentions and says students are devastated after months of rehearsals. So, is there a right answer here? Well, joining me now, I've got two brilliant guests in the studio with me tonight. Journalist and influencer, based and bougie, and political commentator, Iman Aitan. Thank you both very much for being here tonight, you two. Iman, I'll start with you, and I'll let you two basically have a back and forth on this, because it's lovely to have you both here in the studio with me this Sunday evening. Iman, over to you. Do you think it's right for them to have revoked the rights?
Well, I have to admit, I'm a theatre person. I went to the Brit School. I was like 2 years behind Adele, so I thought it was popping. So I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I can imagine how devastated those students were after performing, practising, and then having their whole entire production called off. I'm just going to be honest. I feel their pain. But, caveat, let's just keep it completely and utterly real. We need to get to the kind of honesty about this conversation, which is 100 to 150 years of white Westerners with power being able to whitewash everything that they get their hands on.
Because this is a white country.
It's a white country. You're totally right. So hear me?
The South Koreans, are they Korean washing?
May I?
Actually,
May I? Thank you. You said an accurate point. I'm ready for you. I am ready for you.
Let's go.
Very accurate point. You're perfectly right. It is a white country. But it doesn't negate the fact that there are Asians here, black people here, Middle Eastern people here. I literally saw a survey. It was UCLA. They did a report recently for 2025 to 2026. It basically said that there was 90% of writers are white, 80% of directors are white, and TV and film tends to do better when there is a diverse cast. So let me see if I can amalgamate all of these things together. The reality is, black and brown people and many other cohorts around the world have not been able to have their say in terms of TV, film and theatre. That is the truth. And it stems from 150 years, Bad and Bougie. Did I say it right?
Bro,
I love that tune.
Based.
I love that tune. Right.
Based.
Thank you. Based.
Yeah.
Based and Bougie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Love
100 and 150 years. So this is the issue. So what we're talking about technically is equity. The fact that black people have not been able to have their say, brown people have not been able to have their say. There is evidence to that fact, empirical evidence, and this is why we now are so much more conscious as a society, and now we're just outraged when we see a load of white people trying to be dream girls, which is black R&B and soul. And don't let me get started with the history of R&B and soul. I'm going to shut up now because it's so your turn.
Well, you know I absolutely love you and adore you, but I just think that this is just a silly argument that I'm so tired of. The reality is this is Western countries, meaning the majority of the people in these Western countries, whether it's America, whether it's Europe, they're white. So, of course, they are going to take charge when it comes to things like jobs and Hollywood and film and just the culture. Now, my question to you is, well, to anyone who has a problem with this cast being all white, if an all-white cast playing a black cast is a problem because we should stick to our races when it comes to races when it comes to casting people, that means we should have cancelled Annie. That means we should have cancelled Bridgerton.
Yeah, there's a lot.
That means we should have cancelled the Harry Potter. We should have cancelled the 1997 Cinderella show. There's so many shows we should have cancelled in the last 20 years.
I can add a few more to that list, Anne Boleyn. I can go with you.
So
I hear you.
If we're going to go with this route of, oh my gosh, we can only cast people according to their race, that means we should cancel a lot of films. Not only that, that means we should have cancelled Beyonce from Dreamgirls, because the original Dreamgirls, she was actually an African-American woman. And Beyonce, she's actually quarter caste, meaning her mum is mixed race. And let's not also forget that the recent 2006 Dreamgirls, I believe it's 2006, the director was actually Jewish. He's a Jewish man, so if it wasn't for the Jewish man, we would not have, the legacy of Dreamgirls would not have continued. So this is what happens when we go down the line of race. We're going to start nitpicking all these different things, like Beyonce being mixed race and the director being Jewish. And I think all of that is nonsense. And can we just also consider the fact that these are children? Children are just creative. For example, I worked in a school and I had a young white child. She always played with a black doll. Imagine if I snatched that black doll from her saying, you can't cosplay.
Oh my gosh,
that would be horrible. Because they're just kids. Maybe they admire Beyonce or they admired the show and they just wanted to live through that. So imagine practising and having it absolutely cancelled.
Pass it back to you, Iman,
Well, you said that so eloquently, it's hard to refute. But we are in a debate, so let me see if I can come with something based in bougie. I think we need to focus on, there is one rule for all, right? So if white Westerners that are influential and powerful decide they're going to continue to whitewash, then let's bring on the black washing, the brown washing, let's go. Let it commence, as we say in theatre, in the Brit School. The reality is we have had 150 years, which I already said, but let's just keep it to recent. I watched a load of films. We had The Last Airbender. That was, I'm pretty sure, East Asian origin, and yet it was played by a white person. We have The Ghost of Shell, which was what's her name?
Scarlett.
Thank you very much, Alex. Thank you, a white woman playing a Japanese role. Then we have, let's see if I can add some more. Oh, Wuthering Heights. Don't even play with me. That came out this year or last year, am I lying? Right, Wuthering Heights. Right, her love interest was Swavi, dark-skinned black man, and we saw that beautiful, I think his name is Jacob, reminds me of you.
I haven't watched that.
You're giving me the vibe, right? A good-looking white man, right, who was playing a dark-skinned man. So the reality is, when we think about this dichotomy, this dynamic, if white people are going to continue to whitewash, then black people will continue to defend and correct. It is as simple as that. If you stop with the whitewashing, sorry, sir. That's right. If you stop with the whitewashing, and yes, I heard you when you said that we are in a predominantly white country, region of the world. I appreciate that. But it doesn't negate the fact that there are, 5 million Chinese people? You're trying to tell me that Hollywood couldn't find one actor that could have played The Last Airbender, but instead they had to find a white person? It's that balance based in bougie.
No, I absolutely understand. One of my favourite shows is EastEnders because it has that balance of what, our Britain looks like, which is a majority white people. Then you have the Asian family and the African families. My problem is the people who are basically just have double standards. I mean, they will sit here and say that, we need more representation and we need more inclusion. But when white people say, hey, I want to be included in this inclusion and I want to play a black woman or Beyonce...
It's the equity.
They're demonised for it.
It's the equity.
And it just goes to show that this push for equality and inclusivity, in my eyes, is so disingenuous.
We're being too nice. It's equity. Let me interrupt because I know we're finishing.
Yeah, we're getting ready.
I know, and I've got to be a bit more abrupt now. It's the equity. It's the equity. The reason why is because I keep repeating it. I've said it twice, and now I'm going to say it for a third time. 100 to 150 years of white people taking our culture, taking our artifacts, and now we're back in the game. And history, based on bougie. This is why. So what we're actually debating is equity. Is equity appropriate in regards to theatre, TV and film? And I would argue if there is a balance, it's perfectly appropriate. And where I will add my caveat as a normal human being who understands balance and intelligence, and I am a theatre person, I played Miss Havisham, OK? Miss Havisham in Brit School, she's a white, wrinkly, old white woman who lived in cobwebs. And you see me, I got tattoos, I'm black, working class. I was completely opposite. I did a very good job. And I'd hate for someone to say, how dare you play Miss Havisham, who was white and wrinkly. Don't even make me swear on live TV.
Please
so more of the tells, I understand.
Thank
you. I understand exactly what you're saying, but we need to get back to equity and the fact that there is an imbalance, and we need to get that balance back. And this is what we are trying to do on TV, film, and theatre.
I'll give you the last 10 seconds, if you don't mind, based on bougie.
But I think that we have been balancing it perfectly, meaning the majority of people in this country are white, so therefore you're going to have...
Doesn't mean that there's a balance.
White directors, they're going to be the majority.
Doesn't mean there's a balance.
When it comes to this whole idea that we should have inclusivity and equality, but when a white person wants it, we should exclude them. What you're actually trying to say is that the white race is not deserving of any consideration or respect.
And that is not my sentiment. That is not my sentiment. So that last part I agree with.
All right, you two. We've had a very respectful debate. Thank you both for coming into the studio tonight and for taking it away. I really appreciate it. Good debate. What do you think at home? gbnews.com/your say. Coming up next, New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani has boycotted the annual Israel Day event. It's the first ever mayor to do that, and we're going to be joined by GB News' Ben Leo live from New York. But next, has the Ministry of Defence been captured by Whitehall wokery? That's coming up.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're heading away, well, it's a mixed picture across Europe. We've got cloudy conditions across the Canary Islands, some showers in the Alps and some sunny spells elsewhere. So across Madeira and the Canaries, a cloudy theme on Monday. Best of the sunshine across Portugal, France and Spain. But to the north, that's where we'll see some showers, perhaps some longer spells of rain. But across Greece, further towards the south, that's where we'll see some sunny conditions, highs of up to 25 degrees. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. The weather ahead looks rather unsettled, I'm afraid. We'll see outbreaks of rain in most areas during the week ahead and temperatures returning to the seasonal average as well. At the moment, low pressure is moving into the northwest of the UK, feeding our area in from the Atlantic, so a bit of a cooler west to southwesterly wind becoming established, and that west to southwesterly, so will feed some rain in at times over the next few days. That's certainly the case as we head into the overnight period. Outbreaks of rain moving in across many western and northwestern spots, turning quite heavy by the morning, certainly across the parts of Northern Ireland, West Wales and across westernmost posts of England. Towards the south and east, it becomes mostly fine once the early evening showers die away. We'll see some clear spells, and wherever you are, a pretty mild night to come, certainly frost-free with temperatures mostly in double figures. As we head into Monday then, we get off to a pretty wet start across the mainland of Scotland, quite heavy bursts of rain in places, particularly towards the south and the southwest of the country. Towards the Northern Isles, at this stage brighter with a few showers. Across Northern Ireland, some heavy bursts of rain developing at times, and particularly heavy bursts of rain across western parts of England and Wales. Here we could see one or two issues with flooding, I think, as we go through the day on Monday. Towards the southeast at this stage, it's still brighter, and I think it's the southeast that should stay mostly fine as we go through the day. Sunshine gradually turning more hazy from the west. Elsewhere, though, a pretty unsettled day unfolding. Some outbreaks of quite heavy rain at times moving in from the south and west. Again, at their heaviest across these western areas. And later in the day, starting to turn brighter and more showery across the west of Scotland and across Northern Ireland too. Temperatures still peaking at 23 Celsius towards the southeast. That's a fairly warm 73 in Fahrenheit. Cooler towards the northwest with a cloud and rain around. The rain on Tuesday gradually moves its way away to the east of the UK, giving way to a mixture of sunshine and showers across all parts, although the heaviest of those showers are likely across the south, and here we could see one or two thundery showers as we go into the afternoon. So the showers on Tuesday are pretty widespread, giving way to more persistent rain on Wednesday, and back to sunshine and showers once again as we go into Thursday.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
GB loyalty points are here. They're our way of saying thank you for spending time with GB News. Through commenting on your say, voting in You Decide polls and shaping the debate, you can earn GB loyalty points. Unlock rewards, reach milestones and climb leaderboards. Don't just watch our programmes, come and be part of them. Get started by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/loyalty points.
Welcome back, everybody. The latest victim of wokery in Whitehall is, of course, the Ministry of Defence. It makes me very sad to say that we're never going to win a war again, are we? The government department responsible for our armed forces, of course, and the country's national security. Well, now they require defence firms who are seeking contracts with the MOD to get this, tackle eco-inequality. Goodness me. With global conflicts such as the Iran war and the Russian invasion of Ukraine, other countries are rearming. But here in Britain, the government is focused on fighting climate change, not global threats. Well, I've got my panel back in the room with me. Peter Blexley, you're a no-nonsense kind of guy. How does this make you feel knowing that our Ministry of Defence is spending all this time on eco-inequality?
Yeah, good evening. Is that weapons are us? Yes, yeah. Yeah, my name's Peter Blexley. I'm from the Ministry of Defence. Do your guns shoot straight? Yes, OK. Do your missiles hit their target? Yeah, excellent. And are your jet fighters really, really quick? Yeah, great. OK, send me a quote. Thank you, goodbye.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, I mean, it's that simple, isn't it?
Yes, it should be.
OK, or do we have to worry about emissions?
Oh, we do now.
Really, you know, when we're talking about trying to defend the nation.
Yeah, yeah. It's bonkers, isn't it? This is the reality. We've got the Russian war going on with Ukraine at the north. We've got an Iran war happening in the south, which we can't even get involved in. Even if we wanted to go and secure our own oil, we clearly can't, Anna. It's dire. And now we've got this.
The number one duty of the government is to defend our country. Every single pound of that £85 billion defence budget, over procurement budget, should be going on weapons and, you know, and battleships and jets. Not a penny of it should be going on woke ideology. It's a complete dereliction
How has
of
this
duty.
happened? You understand. You've been in Parliament before. How does this happen?
Yeah, so there's something called the ESG, Environmental, Social and Government Requirement. And Grant Shapps, when he was Secretary of State for Defence, was trying to dismantle this and stop these requirements having any part to play in the MOD whatsoever. But unfortunately, since this Labour government has come in, they've put stilts on it.
Ed Miliband stamped rockets. Is that what they are? They are the solar-powered missiles that will get you as far as Calais, perhaps.
You know what? I'm very suspicious about all of this. Because I know the people in Whitehall, if somebody sort of went in and was a bit mean to them, they'd want to fire the nuclear missile straight away. So, you know, if the minute that if we were ever really under threat, I think all of this would just disappear.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that we do know is if there was a war where we were involved and we were a threat as people, a lot of the ideologies that we've got now would instantly disappear.
But do you know what I can't
You
understand?
live in a dream world, Lisa. With Keir Starmer as Prime Minister, he wouldn't even let the US refuel at our bases. You think he's got a spine for a fight? He'll roll over.
Not him, but I'm talking about, you know, what would have happened to the British public if we were actually under threat. The British public would not be interested in any of this.
but
we are under threat from this government.
The proof of the pudding is in the eating, and HMS Dragon was not ready. Not a single battleship was ready.
But they blame you for that. They blame your party for that.
Well, I disagree. I think now that we're beginning to uncover this madness, I think we're beginning to see where the money's going. It's going in the wrong wrong priorities.
This is it, Peter, right? I think wholly Britain now has decided net zero is a bad idea. We even hear there's rumours inside the current Labour government that Keir Starmer's not happy about all of it, but obviously he hasn't got the political authorities to do anything about it, has he? This is the thing, is that it's now creeping into defence. We need to rearm. Germany's doing it rapidly. Poland's been worried about this for years, and yet we're worried about whether or not a defence contractor that's job is there to either blow something up is going to somehow offset that for eco-inequality reasons.
Well, I have it on good authority that Ed Miliband doesn't like things that go bang because it frightens him, right? No, but we've had successive governments that have failed when it comes down to defence procurement and contracts.
Yeah.
We're supposed to have really bright people in government. Aren't they supposed to be bright?
Well, you like to think so.
Well,
the wastage that we have, the fact that so many procurement contracts have been overinflated and they're not subject to the scrutiny that they should have. It's utterly appalling. But of course, the civil service DNA is over all these kind of things as well. Ministers being blocked sometimes with their ambitions by an obstructive civil service. These kind of things are widely known. And why doesn't anybody in government get a grip? Because they're no good at politics. They don't have commitment. We don't have commitment politicians who say, there's my flag in the ground and no one's moving it and we'll build everything else around it. And that's why we are in the dreadful state, unfortunately, that this once great nation is now.
Absolutely spot on, Peter. Lisa, final thoughts to you.
I think that if, you know, none of us want this to happen, but if a missile landed on British soil, you know, not in Cyprus, but on British soil, I think people's attitudes towards this would change immediately. They would start to think about their own safety, their family's safety, and I think a lot of these ideologies would just disappear.
And Keir Starmer would insist on an apology.
All right, look, brace yourself for this one. An MOD spokesman said this: "We're applying the social value model so it is more relevant for UK defence, ensuring contracts are appropriately incentivising suppliers and helping drive growth." Interesting. Coming up, though, on the show. Well, yeah, Paris was on fire for basically 24 hours, wasn't it? We're going to be digging into the cause of all of that, but next...
I'm a Jewish New Yorker. I'm a Jewish New Yorker.
I'm a Jewish New Yorker. And I'm ranking Zoran #1.
I wonder if they regret their vote for Mamdani. Well, Ben Leo will be joining us from New York as their far-left mayor, Zoran Mamdani, has boycotted their annual Israel Day event, the first ever mayor of New York to do so. That's next.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches,
from football to tennis, in the car,
in the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there with the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Nana are Queer, weekends from 3 p.m.
Will not want to miss. Now, after escaping North Korea twice and surviving years of hardship, he's now campaigning for human rights and speaking out on global freedom issues here in Britain. And tonight he shares his journey, the political response to North Korea, and why he believes that the West must not stay silent. Well, I'm very pleased to say that I'm joined in the studio by Secretariat UK, all-party parliamentary group and human rights activist Timothy Cho.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. Well, even at the reception, I was asked how did I escape from North Korea. And yes, I've been in the UK for 18 years now, but I escaped when I was 17, twice escaped. And I was imprisoned 4 times, 3 times in China, 1 time in North Korea. And especially experiencing that North Korean imprisonment. And this will continue in my eyes, how men and women being tortured and killed, and which I also treated terribly, and which I live with those scars inside and outside today. And I remember visiting Auschwitz last year, and I was sitting on my bed 3 days and remembering and what I saw there, exactly what I saw in North Korean prison cell.
So why were you escaping, first of all? What was it that was making you escape? Why did you need to go? Why was it so bad?
My parents first escaped, whom both of them were high school teachers in North Korea. So they escaped when I was turning age into 9 and 10.
They left you there?
Well, they just they didn't have other alternative choice. If they didn't make that choice, I think whole family could have taken into a prison camp.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, the Mayor of New York will do something no Mayor of New York has ever done in more than 60 years, and that is not show up intentionally to the Israel Day Parade. This is Zohran Mamdani, New York's first Muslim mayor, who said on Thursday he doesn't want to go because he disagrees with the Jewish state's government. Well, the mayor's comments drew consternation from Jewish leaders who slammed Mamdani for turning the annual celebration political. Well, look, I've got a special guest in this hour. GB News chief US correspondent Ben Leo, live from what was this parade earlier on. Ben, look, tell us more about what's been going on, and you've had a very busy day, haven't you?
Hello, Alex. Yes, very busy day. Bit windy here. It was a lot sunnier earlier. Excuse the hair going everywhere. Anyway, big day today. It's the Israel Day March, which is a once-a-year event held in New York City. It's a celebration of Israel, the nation itself, the right for Israel to exist, Jewish culture, lots of floats and parades and music going on down here. It's a really nice atmosphere. A lot different, I have to say, to the last time I was in New York City on October the 7th last year, when there were just Hamas flags everywhere and Hezbollah flags. Wasn't so much of that today. But as you mentioned, one key absentee from the march today, which was the mayor, Zohran Mamdani. Of course, he's the first Muslim mayor of New York City. He's also the first mayor never to attend the Israel Day March. He says that that's in opposition to the Israeli government and not necessarily Jewish people. Although critics here, Jewish leaders, the community, many people I've spoken to have called it a slap in the face that Mamdani wouldn't have come down here today. Previous mayors such as Eric Adams, the billionaire Michael Bloomberg, he had the time to come down today, saying that he's a staunch advocate of the Jewish state. But Mamdani, a key absentee, it upset a lot of people here because, especially in the wake of October the 7th and the years since 2023, of course, the rise in anti-Semitism, what people wanted here, what the locals, the Jews in New York City, by the way, 1 million Jews living in the greater New York area, a quarter of the entire Jewish population of the United States, they wanted to see their leader, their mayor down here to give them a bit of moral support. But no, he wasn't here, Alex, and they've called it a slap in the face to Jews of New York City and the Jewish cause.
Jews who live in New York as well, Ben, isn't there?
Yeah, there's nearly a million Jews living in New York City, around 950,000 in the city centre and, of course, in the greater New York area. As I said, it's 25% of the entire Jewish population of the United States. And in the wake of what's going on with, what we see in London today, with calls for globalised the Intifada, similar situations, maybe even worse here in New York City, where Jews, many who I've spoken to today, said they feel ever under threat and they, quite frankly, don't feel safe in New York City anymore. All they wanted was a quick appearance from the mayor to come down and pay his respects, but no, that wasn't available today.
Yeah, indeed. And Ben, just briefly, you've been also quite busy. You were down at an ICE detention centre as well, weren't you?
Yes, on the way down to New York City, we popped by the ICE detention centre in New Jersey. It's getting quite controversial. 10 days of violence now. This is a quick clip from an interaction with a guy down there who, quite frankly, well, you can see for yourself, he lost his head when I presented him quite simple facts. Apparently, the clip's not there. I went down there and just spoke to local protesters. They were asking, I asked them what their problem was, and they were complaining of standards inside the detention centre. I simply asked a question, which was, well, some people would argue the people inside the detention centre are murderers, child rapists, violent robbers. You know, why are you down here protecting those kind of people? There's a clip online which you can see on GB News socials where one guy got really violent with me. He was in my face, spitting in my face as he was barking and threatened to break my jaw. It's going viral online now, so go to GB News socials to watch that. And indeed, plenty more clips like that. The full report on The Late Show Live tonight from midnight, Alex, on GB News.
Yeah, we'll also be playing some clips to tease Ben's show. Ben's going to be joining the show in the late edition as well to talk about what he's been up to today, because he's been very, very busy. We're sending this man out everywhere. Look at him. Can't even keep his hair in place at the moment, let alone Ben Leo as well. Ben, thank you very much for joining us all the way there live from New York City. Really appreciate it. We'll see you on the show again very shortly. Look, loads more coming up on the show tonight, including this story, right? This is bonkers. A Gambian woman has won the right to move here to Britain with her German husband, despite the fact judges admitted neither she nor her husband attended their own wedding. But next... That should have been a night of jubilation for Paris, shouldn't it? But it was chaos. Animals destroyed the city. We'll talk about that next.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. The weather ahead looks rather unsettled, I'm afraid. We'll see outbreaks of rain in most areas during the week ahead and temperatures returning to the seasonal average as well. At the moment, low pressure is moving into the northwest of the UK, feeding our area in from the Atlantic, so a bit of a cooler west to southwesterly wind becoming established, and that west to southwesterly, so will feed some rain in at times over the next few days. That's certainly the case as we head into the overnight period. Outbreaks of rain moving in across many western and northwestern spots, turning quite heavy by the morning, certainly across the parts of Northern Ireland, West Wales and across westernmost coasts of England. Towards the south and east, it becomes mostly fine once the early evening showers die away. We'll see some clear spells, and wherever you are, a pretty mild night to come, certainly frost-free with temperatures mostly in double figures. As we head into Monday then, we get off to a pretty wet start across the mainland of Scotland, quite heavy bursts of rain in places, particularly towards the south and the southwest of the country. Towards the Northern Isles, at this stage brighter with a few showers. Across Northern Ireland, some heavy bursts of rain developing at times, and particularly heavy bursts of rain across western parts of England and Wales. Here we could see one or two issues with flooding, I think, as we go through the day on Monday. Towards the southeast at this stage, it's still brighter, and I think it's the southeast that should stay mostly fine as we go through the day. Sunshine gradually turning more hazy from the west. Elsewhere, though, a pretty unsettled day unfolding. Some outbreaks of quite heavy rain at times moving in from the south and west. Again, at their heaviest across these western areas, and later in the day starting to turn brighter and more showery across the west of Scotland and across Northern Ireland too. Temperatures still peaking at 23 Celsius towards the southeast. That's a fairly warm 73 in Fahrenheit, cooler towards the northwest with a cloud and rain around. The rain on Tuesday gradually moves its way away to the east of the UK, giving way to a mixture of sunshine and showers across all parts, although the heaviest of those showers are likely across the south, and here we could see one or two thundery showers as we go into the afternoon. So the showers on Tuesday are pretty widespread, giving way to more persistent rain on Wednesday, and back to sunshine and showers once again as we go into Thursday.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
there's a totally tax-free £76,543.21 in cash to be won. Cash to spend on anything you like. That's like having over £6,000 extra to spend each month for a whole year. You could spend it on a bucket list holiday, treats for all of the family, or just save it for a rainy day. For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches,
from football to tennis, in the car,
in the kitchen,
GB News Breakfast is there with the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Good evening, it's 10 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight. That's right, Paris burns as animals, they are animals, burn cars, destroy restaurants and trash the city in what would have been a night and should have been a night of jubilation. Also,
we must restore fairness to our migration system.
A Gambian woman, get this, has won the right to move to Britain with her German husband, despite judges admitting neither she nor her husband attended their own wedding. It is mental. And
Mr. Speaker, I know many members across the House will find these facts to be incredible. To that.
Incredible indeed. Well, the front page of The Guardian says a trove of government documents about Peter Mandelson contains no record of any measures taken to mitigate serious security concerns over his appointment as Washington ambassador, despite everything they knew. There we go. And on my panel this evening, former Met Police Detective Peter Blexley, former Conservative MP Anna Firth, and academic and author Dr. Lisa McKenzie. And Donald Trump back on his finest.
You are not a smart person.
The full clip's a little bit more damning than that. Listen, we've got another massive hour coming your way, but first we're going to get your news with Bethany Elsey.
Alex, thank you. Good evening. Your top stories from the GB newsroom at 10 o'clock. North London was painted red this afternoon as Arsenal fans lined the streets to celebrate their club's first Premier League win in 22 years. As many as 1 million people came out to see the trophy parade in Islington. Our national reporter Jack Carson was there for us.
People were up at 6, 7 o'clock this morning to get a spot here to capture a glimpse of that bus with the Arsenal players aboard, the champions on that bus. I mean, Mikel Arteta has had to work, that team has had to work for their Premier League title this season, but the sense of jubilation, I mean, if we just look around here, you know, people in their thousands still celebrating, the red flares going off absolutely everywhere, and it wasn't to be for them in the Champions League final last night, but for so many people here, it's in the complete back of their minds. They don't care, they're Premier League champions.
I haven't seen anything like this. This is more than the last coronation.
I have hope in them. Next year, definitely, we're winning the league and we're going for the Champions League as well.
After the Bournemouth game, I'll be honest, it was not looking good. But we've managed to do it after 38 games of despair and barely getting over the line. We have done it.
How are you feeling being amongst all these Arsenal fans?
It was honestly sensational. I loved it.
Meanwhile, overnight unrest and rioting spread across France after PSG's Champions League win over Arsenal. More than 700 people have been arrested, including nearly 500 in Paris alone. Around 57 police officers were injured in the clashes. The search is ongoing for an 11-year-old boy who went missing after being seen entering a river in South Yorkshire yesterday evening. Police were called to the River Don in Mexborough at around 8 p.m. The National Police Air Service, Yorkshire Ambulance Service and South Yorkshire Fire and Rescue also attended. At least 14 young people have died after getting into difficulty in open water during the recent heatwave. A woman has been arrested on suspicion of murder after a man's body was found in a van parked in Leicester city centre. The 39-year-old woman was arrested in West London on Friday after police identified the address of the van owner. The Met Police have now taken over the investigation, which began on Wednesday, and have established a crime scene at a house in Hounslow. A police officer in Northern Ireland has been seriously injured after being struck by a stolen police car. A shot was fired during the incident. A 27-year-old has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder, with the force saying the attack had the potential to cause fatal injuries. And authorities in Brazil say they're investigating a second suspected case of Ebola. Yesterday, they say they saw the first suspected case of the infection outside Africa. The latest case involves a Belgian man who recently arrived from Uganda. 263 cases have been reported in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda, with 43 deaths. The World Health Organization's chief is visiting the DRC and is warning the virus is spreading faster than the response. Those are the latest headlines. I'll have more for you at 11 o'clock.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Paris is burning. One confirmed death and over 780 people have been arrested, with many in hospital in serious condition, some of them. That's after PSG won the Champions League final. God forbid they lost. And of course, the usual suspects decided to burn the city to the ground. There's been looting and destroying shops and restaurants. Cars have been burnt into the ground. women attacked just driving their vehicles. It's disgraceful, isn't it? Now, you wouldn't see this on Netflix's Emily in Paris, would you? Destroying local businesses, people's livelihoods, animals, wreckaging a beautiful city. And just for contrast, because we do need a bit of contrast here to show how bad and good can be done, here's how the Polish people have celebrated in Krakow when their team won last week. No rioting, no looting, civilised people enjoying the sport. But let's be honest about what's going on in France. We know French people love a riot and a revolution, don't we? It goes back in their history. But what we saw last night was simply barbarism, wasn't it? Their team didn't even lose. They won. Not that that would be an excuse either way, of course. This is the result of football hooliganism gone wild and, let's be honest, importing of third world people leading to third world behaviours. Plain and simple. Both of those things are to blame. Let's not pretend there isn't truth in both of those things. And, of course, the riots have continued on today. Yeah, well, Ernest Hemingway once said this: there are only two places in the world we can live happy, at home and in Paris. And I truly doubt he'd be saying that today, would he? Should we get the thoughts of my panel? Former Met Police Detective Peter Bleksley, former Conservative MP Anna Firth, and academic and author Dr. Lisa Mackenzie. Thanks all for coming tonight. Peter, I'll start with you. It beggars belief, doesn't it? I kind of saw this and I was lost for words.
Right, let's look at the timelines and let's look at the geography, if we may, because we need to make a bit of a distinction between football-related thuggery and perhaps wider disaffection or looting or rioting, whatever you want to call it. When Arsenal went 1-0 up last night, there was some disturbances in Paris, OK? So disaffected football fans idiotically showing their unhappiness at going a goal down. There was other elements of disruption during the game, but essentially most of it happened afterwards. And if you look at the geography, some of the Parisian suburbs where this happened, and then look at the demographics that live within those suburbs, you will find that they are heavily populated by migrant communities who some chose to take this opportunity to go looting and rioting and smashing up their own city, which is, of course, stupidity on a completely different level.
Yeah, it beggars belief, especially if you are a migrant or even a first-generation migrant where you've lived in that, your parents have just moved to that country, to show that lack of respect for it. It's just something that I just cannot fathom. If it ever happened in London, I just can't imagine it. Lisa, I know you can be a bit of an anarchist.
It did happen. It did happen in London in 2011.
Yes,
it did.
Yeah.
But France is a very.
but for political reasons, right?
Yeah.
That's part of the distinction here. So tell me, do you think this is political?
Yes.
Go on.
Yes, I do. I think France is a very unhappy place at the moment, and I think one of the things about British news is we don't talk much about what's happening in Europe. You know, the social issues in Europe, and France is a very unhappy place. It's extremely divided. It's extremely unequal as well, and there are parts of Paris which are the outskirts, the banlieue, which people, they are migrant communities mostly, and they are quite poor as well. So there is a economic and, I suppose, cultural distinction and an unhappiness in France at the moment. I'm not excusing any of that, because that's not what I'm doing, but what I am saying is, you know, too many people in this country look at Europe and they think it's some sort of bastion of, you know, kindness and everyone getting on. Actually, it's not. France is very, very unhappy with itself, probably in similar ways that we're very unhappy with ourselves as well. So I think what we've seen in Paris, I think it is political.
What do you think, Anna?
I think that there's political or not, I think there's absolutely no excuse for this thuggery, and I don't excuse the football hooligans either. How winning a trophy can be a licence for looting businesses, torching cars and attacking police stations is unbelievable. And 22,000 French police could not control this. So, I mean, they've got a really big problem. But one thing I would say, and I came up on the train today, and lots of Arsenal fans, lots of families didn't feel in the least bit threatened. My daughter was out and about yesterday in North London, and she was talking about all the Arsenal fans and the parade. She didn't feel in the least bit threatened. Now, we so often go on about the good old days. Now, the good old days of football hooliganism in this country were not good at all. But it looks to me as if we are now doing much better on that score, certainly a lot better than the French.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it, when you see how we've responded. I mean, even when Arsenal lost, is it because the people who supported Arsenal just have respect for the game, respect for their club, respect for themselves? Because this reflects on those fans. It reflects on that football club.
I don't know for sure, but I'd like to think that we've turned football into more of a family affair. I mean, I go and support Southend United, and that is a completely family affair. And the more you do that, the more you get everybody involved, the more it's a community thing, the more chance you've got of not having the thuggery and the violence.
To go to the other side of this, which I think is migrant-driven violence, and I think we should call it what it is. I think the footage, it's like Orwell's book, you know, say what you see. You know, don't let people disguise what your eyes and ears show you, Peter. And this is where I'm coming from it. The migrant part of this, France has had a massive influx of people who are not culturally French, not culturally European, and many illegal migrants in the country on top of that as well. Far worse than it is here in Britain, and we should say that with some confidence. Do you think that's contributed to this current situation? We've got the social unrest.
So was Britain.
Yes.
A massive influx of people who are not culturally or values aligned to us.
Why is it that there's no riots here and there's riots over there?
This is a crystal ball. Look into it. This will be Britain before we know where we are. Guaranteed. It might not be a football match that sparks it. It'll be something else. But this kind of level of looting and violence and destruction, wanton damage and all of that, it's coming our way, unfortunately.
Do you feel the same way, Lisa?
What I know about France and Paris is they don't disperse the migrants and the refugees in the way that we do. So if you go into central Paris, there are thousands of refugees around train stations sleeping rough. Whereas in the UK we don't see that.
Yeah, because we've dispersed them at Bournemouth and look what's happened there.
We
and many other places around the country.
We've dispersed them to Middlesbrough and Mansfield.
So they're more concentrated, your argument, in Paris and around the suburbs of Paris.
If you get off the Euro, when you go to Paris, if you get off the Euro
I won't be going
train,
back to Paris. I haven't gone there for 15 years. I got pickpocketed outside the Louvre there, and that was it for me. That was actually, funnily enough, that was one of the turning points for me in my political journey. I said, God, that doesn't feel right. That's like getting mugged outside Buckingham Palace, and I haven't actually been back to Paris, France, since that moment. I will obviously go to some beautiful parts of France, but I won't be going back to Paris again. Just an update here. 16 people have been arrested at the Arsenal parade today. Of course, a crime scene has been set up as part of it. Nothing in comparison to this.
780.
Yes, well, that obviously was a small amount of. If you see the amount of people running down the streets and all the different clips of it, it was just a small part. Clearly, they couldn't have arrested everybody because there were thousands of people rioting last night. From what I can gather from that,
they've had major problems in Paris. They have had major problems in.
Is this heading our way, Anna?
I'm not going to be so pessimistic because I do think France has a particular problem. I was actually lucky enough to live in France for 4 years, live in Paris. This is now going back 20 years, and it was really shocking how every year there was at least one riot, and you'd be walking the kids to school and you'd see a burnt-out car in a really nice part of Paris. The French have a particular problem with this. That's why the gendarmes are fully armed. And what amazes me is that they're not able to get a handle on this.
Why do you think it is they're not able to get a handle on it, Peter? Is it just too much of a bigger problem now? Is that what it is?
We know from our own history that if you concentrate large people from a community that is not native to this nation, and you create conditions where there is social and economic deprivation, there will be a backlash. Brixton 1981, I had the huge misfortune to be there on the Friday of that dreadful weekend. So we've got a template for it. I suspect, I'm utterly confident that with the sizable populations that we've got now living in other places around the UK, it's only a matter of time. Football might not be the catalyst that sparks it in this country, but it's coming our way, unfortunately.
How, with this in mind, Lisa, let's just take that hypothetical and assume it's happening. What do governments need to do? What is the act? Is it like a lot of the right-wing political parties, the Tories, Reform, Restore, pretty much everyone on the right's calling for deportations?
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Can we do that? I'm going to be honest, I don't think anyone could do that now. I don't think
it's too late?
Yeah, I think Reform, you know, they're saying that they want to deport 600,000 people. There is not a chance that's going to happen.
Why do you think that?
Because I think our political system as it is will tie that up. If you remember when the Tories tried to do Rwanda, you know, the Parliament would not allow that to happen. And I think the same will happen with
Lisa,
Reform.
that was the Labour government who came in and immediately scrapped that plan.
Yeah, I'm not a supporter of Labour. Everyone knows I'm not a supporter of Labour.
But I'm saying that Keir Starmer wasted all our money.
But they will do the same. They will do the same with Reform. I mean, they're doing the same to Shabana Mahmood at the moment.
You mean the civil service?
I think the civil service. I think the civil service. I think the politicians.
The lawyers.
Yeah, the lawyers.
The courts.
Yeah, Peter knows. We won't. I feel like Peter. I feel that this is quite dystopian. I think nothing good's going to come out of any of this.
Anna, let's just take a hypothetical. Let's say Kemi Badenoch wins the next general election. She's Prime Minister. Do you have faith that there's political will within the civil service for a mass deportations plan? I call it mass deportations, whatever Kemi Badenoch's solution to the answer is. I think she calls it mass deportations too. Do you have faith that the civil service would be able to deliver that?
I've got no faith that they would want to deliver it, but I do actually have faith that if Kemi Badenoch was Prime Minister, they would have to deliver it, because I think she's actually a very strong woman.
Okay.
And I think that, you know, the Conservatives, they made mistakes in office. We all know that. Yeah. And I think if they get the chance, they will not make those mistakes, because they've gone round that boy and now we know exactly what we've got to do. But that Rwanda plan should have been executed.
I think they're figuring that out now. I just want to bring you the full story on what's happened after this Arsenal parade today, just so you've got the information at home. 16 people have been arrested around the Arsenal parade on Sunday of today, and a crime scene has been set up after a stabbing on Hornsey Road, the Met Police have said. So there is a crime scene, active crime scene there. We'll bring you the latest on that as and when we hear it. A worrying time, I think, for people across Europe, but very worrying. And in some cases, when I showed that picture of Poland to the audience, what the Poles were doing last week in Krakow, because I think it says something. It says something about the homogenous culture they have, about the fact they're all able to come together, celebrate. They don't have a stabbing. There was nothing. None of that happened. I did check the crime reports. They had a nice evening. They did have some arrests from drunken, disorderly behaviour, but actually you saw them all coming together and enjoying their time. And we all live next door to each other. We're not millions of miles away. We are close proximity here in Europe. And I worry when I hear what you're saying, Peter, and I hear what you're saying, Lisa. It does concern me. Go on, you want to say something?
Poland's got a monoculture, generally speaking. Yeah. And I went to Krakow last year. Oh, what a wonderful place to go.
Gorgeous place.
We went two couples. So at one point, me and my mate went off for a beer, and the wives walked home, and they'd never felt safer in their lives.
Totally agree with you. I thought it was absolutely wonderful. A shining example for the rest of us. Well, let's get to a great British giveaway, shall we? £76,543.21 in tax-free cash. Here's all the details.
We're counting down to a spectacular summer. It's your chance to win £76,543 and 21p in totally tax-free cash. A lump sum that you could have in time to splash out with this summer. Imagine all the things you could do with that cash. Give the garden a glow up, max out on a new motor, or just make sure the coming year is your year. And because it's tax-free, you get to keep every single penny for a chance to win £76,543.21 in tax-free cash. Text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, coming up, we're going to bring you all of tomorrow's front pages, including the incredible cancer pill that is expected to double life expectancy. Incredible stuff, that is. But next, get this. A Gambian woman has won the right to move to Britain with her German husband, despite judges admitting neither she nor her husband attended their own wedding. What on earth is going on? That's next.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches,
from football to tennis in the car,
in the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there with the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
the late edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, late edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, late edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Right, well, get this. A Gambian woman has won the right to move to Britain with her German husband, despite judges admitting neither she nor her husband attended their own wedding. It just beggars belief. The woman applied to join her husband, who lives in the UK, under the EU settlement scheme. The Home Office rejected the bid, saying the couple's 2019 mosque marriage in Gambia may never even have happened. However, an immigration judge heard the wedding was attended only by relatives acting on the couple's behalf, with neither the bride nor the groom actually there. and officials who also questioned whether the pair were even in a genuine long-term relationship. But you'd think all of that's enough, wouldn't you? No. Despite those doubts, the tribunal still ruled in the couple's favour after accepting that they had later had a civil marriage. The decision means she can now move to Britain to join her German husband here. Did you get the thoughts of my panel on this one? I think they've got a lot to say. Anna, I'll start with you. The system is a complete joke.
This is absolutely appalling, because this isn't that the rules were not right. This is that the rules have not been properly applied. You know, the Home Office rules say that it must be a genuine and subsisting relationship, and that the marriage, and it must be a marriage. Now, that was clearly not a marriage. That was not a genuine and subsisting relationship, and therefore the judge and the subsequent tribunal should have applied the rules correctly. It doesn't matter how many rules we write, if we haven't got judges and officials who are applying them correctly, we might as well all go home.
I just can't believe it. The blokes are German, she's Gambian, neither of them seem to have attended their own wedding. Lisa, what on earth? This is what boils British people's blood. It boils their blood, because they can see there is no element of common sense being used here whatsoever.
And it's the drip, drip, drip of these stories that come out every single day. A few days ago, I was reading something about vape shops can sponsor...
Yeah, I did it last night. Covered it last night.
Yeah, can sponsor someone from abroad to come and live here to work in a vape shop. It's these drip, drip, drip of stories that are now enraging people. And we were just talking about what's been happening in Paris and riots and anger. Well, I think anger is boiling here as well. I'm not calling for riots. I'm not calling for violence. But I can feel people tipping. I can feel them tipping over.
Because I think
there's going to be a tipping point with this stuff.
Well, people just want common sense, right?
They want
that's
fairness.
All and fairness.
It's feeling like we live in a country that's fair.
What do you think, Peter?
I mean, in fairness, I didn't know I'd gone to my own wedding until somebody showed me the photographs a couple of days later. But hey, it was the 90s, and if you can remember the 90s, you weren't actually there enjoying them. It's just abysmal and it's pathetic. Yeah. We're a laughing stock. This country's a laughing stock. So many people are looking at this country now, whereas they used to look up to it, respect it, copy it in so many regards. Now, around the world, so many countries are just laughing at us, and this is a perfect example of why.
It goes back to the heart of our justice system when it comes to immigration, because over the course of this last year or so, however long I've been presenting here at GB News, it feels like it's been 10 days because I'm just here all the time. But what it says when I have to report these bonkers stories, like the chicken nuggets story, we'll never... Yeah. I say that, all of you at home know exactly what I mean. You know exactly... I just say chicken nuggets and immigration, and you know exactly what story I'm talking about. It's the one where the judge wouldn't deport a man. I can't remember the exact reason why he was going to get deported, because his son didn't like the certain type of chicken nuggets back home, or whatever it was. And this sort of stuff makes people really upset and angry, because actually when a crime particularly has been committed, people should have to face the full force of the law, Anna.
Well, absolutely right. But I come back to my point that the law is only as good as the people who are applying it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And, you know, these immigration judges, I'm sorry, but they're not up to the job that they're supposed to be doing. And you know, the Home Office have given us an explanation. We need an apology from the Home Office, but we need an apology and an explanation from this immigration tribunal judge.
Well, and it goes to the heart of so many of these issues, Lisa, because, again, what it says to British people is that there's a system that works for some and not for everyone else. Yeah. Because if this was a British couple, and I don't, maybe they've done something wrong, they wouldn't be... I don't believe, and I'm sure the justice system would completely disagree with me here, but I don't believe they'd be treated with the same level of ambiguity.
No, and I think that this is what these sort of stories do, and this is whenever these... I don't know if they're mistakes or misjudgments or whatever they are, or people not doing their job properly, stamping things through because they haven't got time, whatever it is. But it is eating away at public safety. It's eating away the way that people feel about the country. It's eating away at our democracy because people feel that they don't live in a society anymore. They're living in some sort of nightmarish dystopian place where nothing makes sense.
The last thing we need is an apology. What we actually need is them being put in handcuffs, put in the back of the van, flown to taken to an airport and flown out of the country, back from whence they came. In fact, I'm volunteer to drive that van.
But the thing is, she's not even here. She's not even here. I mean, they didn't have to do that because she's not even here.
Is this... I mean, I guess when it comes to situations like this, my gut is, and I'm not targeting you, and I've got a promise, right? My gut is to blame politicians, not the people, right? They are just following the rules that our politicians have laid out in law, and that's what the immigration judges will say. Yeah, actually, that's the law.
No, but that's where you're wrong on this occasion, Alex, because the Home Office rules are very clear that it should be a genuine marriage and it should be a genuine relationship. This was so obviously not a marriage. You know, I mean, I take Peter's amusing point, but you can't have a marriage that no one attends.
So interestingly, what we do know is that they do have children together. Now, I don't know how old these kids are. She is pregnant with her third child, so maybe the relationship is genuine. Maybe the relationship is genuine.
But there's another thing, Alex,
but that doesn't excuse the fact that the situation leading up to this looks so ambiguous, where you don't attend your own wedding, you've got your family going for you. There's a lot there that would make me go,
And I would say, I wonder what the role of the lawyers is here, because this should not have been appealed. That's the first thing that, to me, that I think that is absolutely ridiculous. That case has no merit. It should never have got the money to be appealed. Who paid for that appeal?
Right.
Who has paid for that appeal?
Well, look, an immigration tribunal judge, Judge McWilliam, in the decision said this: the unchallenged evidence is that the appellant is pregnant with their third child. There is no challenge to the civil marriage having taken place. It is further evidence that supports the durability of the relationship. So, obviously, that child being present has changed the way this judge has seen the case. That's what it is. And I do think we have to, regardless of whatever the circumstances of this case are, there's a million others, right? And that is where the law needs to change, and immigration guidance on this stuff, I think, needs to be rewritten. Anyway, look, coming up, loads of tomorrow's papers are coming in, and I will bring you the latest on that. Don't worry, it's going to be a really good round this time. I'll see you shortly.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're heading away, well, it's a mixed picture across Europe. We've got cloudy conditions across the Canary Islands, some showers in the Alps and some sunny spells elsewhere. So across Madeira and the Canaries, a cloudy theme on Monday. Best of the sunshine across Portugal, France and Spain. But to the north, that's where we'll see some showers, perhaps some longer spells of rain. But across Greece, further towards the south, that's where we'll see some sunny conditions, highs of up to 25 degrees. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. The weather ahead looks rather unsettled, I'm afraid. We'll see outbreaks of rain in most areas during the week ahead, and temperatures returning to the seasonal average as well. At the moment, low pressure is moving into the northwest of the UK, feeding our area in from the Atlantic, so a bit of a cooler west to southwesterly wind becoming established, and that west to southwesterly, so will feed some rain in at times over the next few days. That's certainly the case as we head into the overnight period. Outbreaks of rain moving in across many western and northwestern spots, turning quite heavy by the morning, certainly across the parts of Northern Ireland, West Wales and across westernmost coasts of England. Towards the south and east, it becomes mostly fine once the early evening showers die away. We'll see some clear spells, and wherever you are, a pretty mild night to come, certainly frost-free with temperatures mostly in double figures. As we head into Monday then, we get off to a pretty wet start across the mainland of Scotland, quite heavy bursts of rain in places, particularly towards the south and the southwest of the country. Towards the Northern Isles, at this stage brighter with a few showers. Across Northern Ireland, some heavy bursts of rain developing at times, and particularly heavy bursts of rain across western parts of England and Wales. Here we could see one or two issues with flooding, I think, as we go through the day on Monday. Towards the southeast at this stage, it's still brighter, and I think it's the southeast that should stay mostly fine as we go through the day. Sunshine gradually turning more hazy from the west. Elsewhere, though, a pretty unsettled day unfolding. Some outbreaks of quite heavy rain at times moving in from the south and west. Again, at their heaviest across these western areas. And later in the day, starting to turn brighter and more showery across the west of Scotland and across Northern Ireland too. Temperatures still peaking at 23 Celsius towards the southeast. That's a fairly warm 73 in Fahrenheit, cooler towards the northwest with a cloud and rain around. The rain on Tuesday gradually moves its way away to the east of the UK, giving way to a mixture of sunshine and showers across all parts, although the heaviest of those showers are likely across the south, and here we could see 1 or 2 thundery showers as we go into the afternoon. So the showers on Tuesday are pretty widespread, giving way to more persistent rain on Wednesday, and back to sunshine and showers once again as we go into Thursday.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there.
With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back, everybody. I've got tomorrow's front pages here. Should we have a little look? Because it's bad news for Keir Starmer again. It never ends, does it really? In The Guardian, Mandelson files show no mitigation of security concerns over top US job. Now, the problem here for the Prime Minister is that in that security briefing, which we've all seen, they list their concerns from things about China, Russia and, of course, even Epstein. So the fact there was no mitigation is yet more incompetence if this is true. The Metro. Nicola Sturgeon, forever the victim, insists she did not see the wait, that can't be quite right. I think it's the £150,000 or £125,000 25-foot motorhome parked at her parent-in-law's home. She couldn't see it. However, Lisa McKenzie's just told me people could see it from Google Earth. That is a site where you can go and see maps from space. So if we could see it from space, I don't know how she didn't see it in her parent-in-law's front drive. But there we go. The Times. This is interesting. As many union members support Reform UK as Labour reveals damning poll. I'd like to dig into that one because that says a bit of a shift here. And there's also rumours recently that Nigel Farage was talking to the unions, particularly about the Birmingham bin strike. So that could be some coalescence there. The iPaper. Leadership rivals back revolution in UK voting system. I'll have a little read into that one. I think they might be perhaps advocating for proportional representation. I don't know. The Daily Mirror. Precious gift of time. This is the miracle cancer drug. And leading the gbnews.com website tonight, Wes Streeting set for showdown with Ed Miliband as he calls on Labour to drill in the North Sea. Better late than never, but good luck. And London hotel ablaze. 9 arrests made and 75 people rescued during Arsenal title parade. Is it kicking off? Well, I don't know. Just been going on about France for the last... Anyway, got my panel here. Shall we talk about the Mandelson files? Because they're coming back. And this is the story that will not die for Keir Starmer. It just keeps on coming back and back and back. Mandelson files show no mitigation of security concerns over the top job. Peter, disaster for Keir Starmer on the way yet again.
Absolutely delighted by the front page of The Guardian. I don't think I've ever said that before in my life. This is wonderful because it puts Starmer back under the spotlight. He's back on the hook. I was very disappointed that this story seemed to have gone away, thereby giving him a bit of a free rein. Come on, Starmer, where's the answers? Come on. He's properly under the microscope.
It seems to be the case, and it's going to get worse because we're talking about this now and the files haven't even come out yet. I think they're due this week. Or it's either this week or next week. Lisa, what do you think?
I imagine what's also happening here as well is that The Guardian is sort of pushing its ideas forward about who they want to lead the Labour Party and who they want to be PM. And I imagine that would be Andy Burnham, actually.
Interesting. So you think this is like a sly dig at someone like Wes Streeting?
Yeah, I think once we get the Mirror headlines sort of saying the same sorts of things, I think we'll realise that what's happening is the left-leaning newspapers are backing Burnham.
Interesting. Anna, what do you make of this? Of course, I think it's safe to say now that the entire Mandelson cabal around at the time were completely either willfully blind to what was going on, because there was a security briefing, which we've all seen, and I think any reasonable person would have gone, that's a problem, that's a Russia problem, that's a China problem there, there's an Epstein problem there, and yet no mitigation took place.
Well, absolutely. I mean, Diane Abbott, bless her, I thought was absolutely brilliant when, you know, she spoke for the nation, didn't she, when she said he had history. You know, he was a wrong-un. And if, in any other walk of life, if someone has said to you, look, you know, do you really want to appoint this person? You know, come on, look at their history. You know, for him to have gone against that advice, it was, you know, was the most unbelievable misjudgment. Not fit to be Prime Minister, and the sooner, frankly, that he goes, the better.
Oh, get this. This is great. I didn't realise this is happening, right? A fuller picture will emerge today. They're talking about tomorrow, Monday, so in, well, you know, a few hours' time, but a fuller picture will emerge today when the government publishes more than 1,000 pages of information relating to the appointment, which has proved to be one of the most momentous decisions taken by Keir Starmer. That means we're going to get some of these files tomorrow, right? Juicy. One source in this Guardian paper here, who has been briefed on the contents of the documents, told The Guardian, the big question I'd be asking is why is there no written record of what mitigations were put in place? We've been told they were there, but why is there no document showing he accepted them? So once again, these mitigations for Mandelson might have been available, Peter, but no one's decided to take them up.
And it just brilliantly brings back into focus Starmer and his appalling decision-making. I think now the real crux of the matter will be how much underhandedness was there about that. We've had his mealy-mouthy, regretful apology and all that kind of nonsense, which counts for nothing and butters no parsnips whatsoever. If there's something that really proves that he's been underhand, which I suspect he may have been, then it could be curtains before he knows it.
Well, that begs the question. Of course, we can't talk about anything going on locally anywhere in the world. I know there's lots of elephants in the room. You all know the rules. We all know the rules here. However, there were rumours weeks ago, before this whole supposed sort of half coup took place inside the Labour Party, and I'll put this to you, inside the Labour Party. Of course, now, you know, Andy Burnham's basically releasing his manifesto as he U-turns about 7 times already so far on his national policies. Do you think something like this could just be the trigger point for Keir Starmer to say, yeah, enough's enough, I've got to announce my departure and let there be a leadership election triggered as soon as possible?
Do you know, I don't think Keir Starmer is going to do any such thing. I think he's going to cling to power as long as he can, because he throws everybody under a bus, doesn't he? You know, Sue Gray, Morgan McSweeney, then Sir Ollie Robbins, and I think he's going to say, no one told me that there should have been any mitigations. It's all a big surprise.
He can't go back now, can he? Because he's stood in Parliament how many times now and said, I've done nothing wrong. And the thing I did do wrong, I really apologise for that thing, although I didn't do anything. So he can't backtrack. He's got to go. He's only got one way now, and that's forward.
Yeah, well, if these 1,000 pages are released, I don't think they'll be tomorrow morning, but I think they'll be out throughout the day tomorrow. I'm going to have the government round to look forward to it, and I can't wait. So come and join me on breakfast the next few days. We're going to have a really fun time with some government ministers. It's going to be great. Coming up, we're going to cross live to Sydney to speak with Sky News Australia superstar Danica Di Giorgio to get the latest from Down Under. This is Alex Armstrong tonight, only on GB News.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
Colin, it's always an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. And of course, you're wearing your full Chelsea pensioner regalia. It's a resplendent sight. Colin Thackeray. 2/3 of young people don't even know what VE Day is. You know what it is. You lived through it. Tell the nation how important it is and your memories of that beautiful day.
Well, extremely important to remember and to continue to remember. it means obviously victory in Europe. And it was a great day because everybody was happy, and, you know, we all lived through 5 years of war, and it was a smashing time. And I'd rather hope that people will continue to do so.
Do you think the problem now, Colin, is we've got a younger generation who are taught badly, and they're taught often to be ashamed of British history? We talk about slavery, the evils of empire. Yeah, we don't celebrate the genuine heroism of V-Day and people like yourself.
Yeah, it's a shame. You know, 2 years ago we were in Korea. We went across for a revisit, and I hadn't seen the place for 70 years, and it was extraordinary. The place the school was built up, and the people were marvellous. And every child knows exactly when the war was there, what we were there for, and we were told. I was told by a 9-year-old. It never occurred to me that, look, if you didn't come, we would be living the same as North Korea. That's a shame, isn't it?
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Danica Di Giorgio, Sky News, Australia's superstar, is joining me now. It's so good to see you again. I know we haven't had you for a couple of weeks, so welcome back to Alex Armstrong tonight. It's such a pleasure to have you. Now, look, I wanted to ask you about what's going on with the Australian Human Rights Commission, who is suggesting that men who identify as a female could be discriminated against.
It's worse than that, actually. Australia's Sex Discrimination Commissioner, Alex, says that men could potentially be pregnant. Yep, you heard that correct. What an extraordinary piece of science, revolutionary, in fact, defies biology. But that was the assertion from Anna Cody, who, by the way, is paid $400,000 a year, courtesy of the Australian taxpayer. That's about £213,000 per year. These bizarre suggestions. Have a listen to this exchange.
I'm very confused. A biological male can't become pregnant.
But the grounds of pregnancy includes potential pregnancy as well as pregnancy.
But if they can't become pregnant, how can you then become potentially pregnant?
It's about the unlawful treatment by the employer.
Yeah, welcome to the clown show that is Australia right now. Now, look, Alex, I don't know about you or if any of your viewers explain how a biological man could potentially be. We don't exactly have the reproductive pipes, per se, to one, fall pregnant and to two, bear a child. But this is where we're at in this country, and it's perfectly legal because our laws say so. Back in 2013, the former Labor Prime Minister, Julia Gillard, amended the Sex Discrimination Act. She took out the words woman and man. Therefore, basic biological sex is rendered useless. So a bloke wearing a dress can enter a woman's only space, like a toilet or a change room, and claim to be a woman when clearly they are not. In fact, last week, actually, Julia Gillard was at the UK High Commission giving a speech in London, and she was heckled outside as being an erasure of women's rights. And they were holding up signs saying, "Keep your didgeridoos out of women's loos," which I think is a pretty fair point. But the clown show continued with the Australian Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese. He was asked last week, will you restore biological definitions of man and woman in the Sex Discrimination Act? And he responded with, I'm not getting involved in culture wars. So he was more willing to protect the rights of a very small percentage of the population ahead of women and children. Women basically do not exist in this country. At least you had that UK decision last year. in court, Alex. I think UK at least maybe knows what a woman is. The US knows. Australia, it's still the hardest question of our time.
But this is the crazy thing, because it took our Prime Minister an entire Supreme Court decision for him to figure out what a woman was. Our Deputy Prime Minister thought men could grow a cervix. You know, it does beg a belief, the political class we've got, not just here in Britain, but clearly in Australia too. But talking of great politicians, Pauline Hanson, who is basically the Nigel Farage of Australia, correct me if I'm wrong in saying that, perhaps the best comparison I can give, but she's calling for a ban on the burqa, is that right?
Yeah, and she's made it very clear she does not want Australia to become Great Britain. Well, I think we're already on the pathway there. She's long called for this, but yesterday she has renewed that call. Now, you might recall last year she actually wore the burqa into Australian Parliament, into the Senate, to try and start a bill on banning the burqa, and she ended up being censured for it because Australian politicians don't want to talk about it. They want to be able to protect Muslims, and they want to basically silence us from having what is a fair debate, given that upwards of 20 countries have already banned the burqa around the world, including Muslim-majority countries like Algeria and Chad. But we can't seem to have a proper debate on this, and she's right. She also wants to ban immigration from some Muslim-majority countries, saying that they are incompatible with our values. And of course they are. We have to wake up to the fact that radical Islam is a serious threat, and that there are people that we've already brought in, some who really hate our values, some who don't want to assimilate, and some who hate Australia. So what she's saying is absolutely right, and it won't come as any shock to you, Alex, that a poll just dropped has found that One Nation is now the most popular party in this country, ahead of Australian Labor. So what does that tell you? The silent majority have found their voice, and that voice is Pauline Hanson.
It certainly seems to be so many similarities between our two countries as ever. Thank you so much again for joining me this evening, Danica. I really, really appreciate it, and I hope you have a nice weekend ahead of you, or weekday indeed, because it's a Sunday evening, isn't it? Can't remember what day of the week it is for me anymore. I'm always here. Lovely to see you. We'll see you again next weekend as ever. I just want to get the thoughts of my panel here, just on Australia for a second, because we are cousins in that respect, aren't we? And I mean, I've been a couple of years ago now, was the last time I was over in Australia, actually, noticed the massive British population there, but also going through similar immigration issues. Peter, have you been recently at all? Have you ever been over there?
No, last time I was in Australia was 1994, when England didn't qualify for the World Cup. Yeah, a long time ago. Had a wonderful time. Yes, although, of course, they did move swiftly eventually to stop their boats problem, didn't they, which we have with all these boats coming across the channel, and they completely stopped it. Only if our politicians could do the same.
Yeah.
I've got a friend who works in a university in Australia, and I spoke to her yesterday, actually, and they have been advised by their government by the universities not to travel to America while Trump is in power. So there's something very odd going off in the universities in Australia.
Yeah, well, I've got to leave it there, unfortunately. Sorry, Anna, but I'm off now for breakfast tomorrow. Up next, Will Kingston with the late edition.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. The weather ahead looks rather unsettled, I'm afraid. We'll see outbreaks of rain in most areas during the week ahead, and temperatures returning to the seasonal average as well. At the moment, low pressure is moving into the northwest of the UK, feeding our area in from the Atlantic, so a bit of a cooler west to southwesterly wind becoming established, and that west to southwesterly, so will feed some rain in at times over the next few days. That's certainly the case as we head into the overnight period. Outbreaks of rain moving in across many western and northwestern spots, turning quite heavy by the morning, certainly across the parts of Northern Ireland, West Wales and across westernmost parts of England. Towards the south and east, it becomes mostly fine once the early evening showers die away. We'll see some clear spells, and wherever you are, a pretty mild night to come, certainly frost-free with temperatures mostly in double figures. As we head into Monday then, we get off to a pretty wet start across the mainland of Scotland, quite heavy bursts of rain in places, particularly towards the south and the southwest of the country. Towards the Northern Isles, at this stage brighter with a few showers. Across Northern Ireland, some heavy bursts of rain developing at times, and particularly heavy bursts of rain across western parts of England and Wales. Here we could see one or two issues with flooding, I think, as we go through the day on Monday. Towards the southeast at this stage, it's still brighter, and I think it's the southeast that should stay mostly fine as we go through the day. Sunshine gradually turning more hazy from the west. Elsewhere, though, a pretty unsettled day unfolding. Some outbreaks of quite heavy rain at times moving in from the south and west. Again, at their heaviest across these western areas, and later in the day starting to turn brighter and more showery across the west of Scotland and across Northern Ireland too. Temperatures still peaking at 23 Celsius towards the southeast. That's a fairly warm